Hello and welcome to the As Unnamed series of horror film reviews. What are we looking at?
We're both horror nuts, so we thought we would take a look at horror films, in particular, as a genre. We might as well start with horror royalty, Sam Raimi, and one of his lesser known, not the one he's known for, Drag Me to Hell.
I'm not actually a huge horror fan.
Nah? No. I am.
So this is a 2009 film from Sam Raimi.
It is. Written and directed by Sam, but written with his brother Ivan.
So I first saw this not too many years ago. We were in a shop getting cheap DVD or cheap Blu-rays, and I said, "Oh, what's this one like?" And you said, "Oh, it's awesome. Get it." And I looked at, and then I watched the film. I didn't really like it that much.
It's one that I quite enjoyed the first time I watched it. And then when I watched it last week for this, I found it less fun. But I still stand by it because it's Sam Raimi. And our man Sam, having a lot of fun. When he made Drag Me to Hell in 2009, he had just come off of 3 back-to-back Spider-Man films. And for me, this movie is him going, I want a small budget, I want to be able to do whatever I want, and I don't want studio interference.
So he'd done the Spider-Man films, but even before that, he'd done some non-horror films.
He started with Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, but in there you've got Darkman, you've got A Simple Plan. Sam's one of those filmmakers, he dabbles.
My biggest problems with it was, like, there was a lot of Sam Raimi-ness in there, which was cool, but I think his films, like his earlier ones, the Evil Dead films, benefited from the real comedic element and Bruce Campbell. Like, it didn't have that side to it, this one. Like, it got a lot of the Sam Raimi-ness.
It's got the almost sadistic treatment of your main character. But as you say, it hasn't got Bruce Campbell, and it has a terminal case of Justin Long.
I didn't really take to the 2 lead actors in this. Alison Lohman, she's the lead, and then Justin Long is her fiancé. Neither of them are really liked.
Christine works in a bank and has Mrs. Is it Ganesh?
Ganesh.
Mrs. Ganesh.
Ganesh.
Comes to beg for an extension on a mortgage, and Christine knocks it back because she wants to get a job promotion.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Ganesh, but another extension on the loan is out of the question.
What?
For her troubles, she gets a curse put on her, which means in 3 days a demon's going to come and rip her down to hell.
As urtug sayon belid.
And it's all about these ever-increasing demonic attacks. This feels like an Evil Dead film. For me, this feels like the same universe as Evil Dead.
The dinner party with the eye popping up in the cake was very Sam Raimi.
And there's a talking goat.
You tricked me.
I did like the talking goat. That was actually quite funny.
But I really enjoy that seance scene. For me, that scene it's got all the Sam Raimi-isms, the Evil Dead, that is right there.
It had all those elements, but I just think it was lacking the comedic sort of Bruce Campbell side of things.
It lacked the Campbell's ham.
Even in Darkman, you had, Bruce Campbell was in it right at the end, but you had a lot of the really hammed up, just really silly, over the top, sped up motion, and he had a lot of fun with that film. Yeah, I just think a lot of that side of thing was lacking from this. That was my biggest issue.
I enjoyed the physical side of it. I like the fights, because there are quite a few fights between Christine and Mrs. Ganesh, even after Mrs. Ganesh dies. She fights her corpse twice, and it always manages to pull her hair out. And I like that physical comedy side of it. It is like Sam really enjoys tormenting his main characters. The main character, she isn't likable. She's a horrible person.
Because she kills a cat at one point.
Oh, she kills her cat. Yeah, the psychic says.
Then how do I get rid of this?
You could attempt to appease the spirit. The simplest way would be a blood offering. A small creature could be sacrificed.
And she kills a kitten, for Christ's sake.
Here, kitty.
It does play very low budget.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
But that was part of what he was enjoying about it. I do think part of the problem it hasn't held up as well is it has an over-reliance on CGI.
Even though it's 2009, it should have been better. There's one key scene which looks really, really badly done.
There's a couple of effects that you could have just done with a quick splatter gag.
It just looked like an element that was just stuck on top. It was just so not even really blended in.
It also isn't remotely scary.
That's my problem with a lot of American horror films. And I think the reason why I like The Evil Dead is because you've got the comedy aspect. It's so ridiculous, it's so over the top that it doesn't have to be scary as such. It's just fun. And I think this suffers from having just loud noises basically being the scares. That's kind of just loud noise. And that's apparently the horror element.
A lot of stuff these days rely on the old loud noise.
The horror films that I do like is the Japanese type horror films, which is more about the mood.
Hey, for once, we're not both sitting here going, this is really good, you should watch it.
I think you overall probably even still like this one a bit more than I did.
When I first saw it, I enjoyed it a lot more than I did the second time I saw it. Oh, the second or third time I think I've seen it now. There are bits of it I still enjoy and I still like, but I just found that it hasn't aged as well as I'd hope.
And also coming more recently to seeing the Evil Dead TV show, which
Yes.
that really is getting back to the old school Evil Dead. It was a lot of fun. It was ridiculous. It was over the top. It was funny. It's everything you wanted from Evil Dead as a TV show.
That first
And
episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead nailed it.
having seen that in more recent years, then I watch this, think, it just doesn't quite have it.
You will burn in hell! You will burn in hell! You bitch, you'll burn in hell! Your time's coming!
And then there's the ending. Spoilers. The ending was in the trailer.
Was it?
I remember watching the trailer for it, and it was one of those things because it's not very. It's telegraphed a lot earlier.
She puts the curse on a button, and the plan is to try and give the button away to someone else, gift the button.
Well, he does that at the end
Yeah.
after they do the seance, and he says,
The Lamia will come for the owner of the accursed object. Unless, of course, you were no longer the owner.
like, all he had to do at the beginning was like, it's on the button, give the button away. Go to a prison and give it to a convicted murderer. End of film. But I suppose that's why they do it.
She decides that, why can't I give it back to the corpse of the old lady who put the curse on me? Earlier it's set up that there's another envelope with a quarter in it.
No way.
Cue predictable mix-up.
Wait, where's my envelope?
It's here, so we'll find it eventually.
She goes and digs her up, tries to give the button back, and she thinks she does it, and then she goes to meet Justin Long's character on a train platform. It turns out that
He's like, oh, I've still got your button.
So maybe you can sew back on.
at that moment is when the demon comes to get her,
Yeah, and she falls on the train tracks and
then gets dragged to hell.
But by that point, she's such a horrible person that it's what we're paying to see.
Yeah, they're both really unlikable. He's too soppy and yeah.
But yeah, I remember watching the trailer, and in it was the shot of her, and it was like you spend the whole movie going, I've seen that bit. Why do they fucking ruin movies and trailers these days?
I think it's also when you have a film that they think is not that great, and then they just put all of the good bits in just to get people in the cinema, because at least at that point, they've already got you in the cinema. And it's, yeah, but unfortunately, they ruin it.
How do you end up a review where you're like, well, I'm not totally meh.
No, I think before you watched it more recently, you were still...
I would have given
that's
it
cool.
easily a 7 or I would have given it an 8 probably
Really?
before I watched it again, and now
That's a
I'd
bit
go
high.
6.
It's got 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb. I think, 6.
That's kind of
for
what
me.
it is.
I think there's a lot better that Sam Raimi's done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, in
if-
Sam's filmography, there are better films to be watching.
And if you want to get back to the old school fun of Sam Raimi, then the Evil Dead TV show would be a must over this.
Watch something else. There's a quote for the box.
Whoa, Jesus.
Hecuba. Never did understand that damned animal. Hate cats.
That is so strange. Hecuba is usually very sweet.
Oh, that's okay. I had a cat, I understand.
You have a cat. What do you mean? Something happened unless something happened to him.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to find out if we ever come up with a title for these horror reviews, don't forget to click like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications.